Hi everyone, here's our class notes on 10-1, starting chapter 10 on Thursday the 19th. We'll be talking about actually classifying polynomials. Eventually, probably like day 3, we'll start to add and subtract, but that's what the section's called in the book. So just to go over some vocab really quick, what is a polynomial? It's basically an expression where terms are being added and subtracted. What this is saying is that the terms will look like this, where you have only positive exponents for k. You'll have a number here, a letter, and an exponent. That's what a term is. And then the sum means they're just being added or subtracted together. Standard form here says that the terms are in order from biggest exponent to smallest. So when you're asked to write things in standard form, it's look at the exponents and put them in order from biggest to smallest. The degree, when you hear the word degree, it's really looking at the exponent of each of your variables. The degree of the polynomial, which we'll use most often, is the biggest exponent in the entire thing, and then we'll classify according. We should know leading coefficient because we've talked about coefficients before, but when your polynomial is in standard form, remember standard form I just said was biggest exponent to smallest, it's the first number that you see. It's the coefficient, just the number. It's just a number in front of the variable and the power. So we classify in two ways. We classify by terms and degree, and that's what you're seeing on the bottom of the screen. We classify by terms. We have 1 term, 2 term, and 3 terms, and we say that to ourselves, and we use the vocabulary words that are on the left. Monomial, binomial, trinomial. So again, 1 term is a monomial, 2 terms is a binomial, and 3 terms is a trinomial. When we classify by degree, we're looking at the exponent. If the exponent is 0, I should say the biggest exponent. If it's 0, then this is the math vocabulary word that we use with it. If the biggest exponent is 1, math vocabulary. Biggest exponent is 2, then we're going to use these words. 3 cubic. So first, with our eyes, we just look for the numbers. For the biggest exponent, which number does it look like? Then we'll say, okay, if it's 0, we call it a constant. If it's linear, if it's 1, we call it linear. If the biggest exponent is 2, we say quadratic. 3, we say cubic. 4, we say quartic. So again, terms. A term is when we have a number, a variable, and an exponent. Degree is just talking about what's your biggest exponent in your polynomial. Okay, that's the review of vocab. Now I'm going to move to the examples where we're going to start classifying. So we're going to be asked, and on homework, the first assignment that I give you tomorrow will say classify by degree, terms, and leading coefficient. So here's our first example. And this, let's just talk about, is it in standard form? Biggest exponent to smallest. Well, I see an exponent of 2, and I see an exponent of 1, and I see an exponent of none, which would mean 0. So yes, this is in order from biggest to smallest. This is called standard form. This is also called a polynomial, you guys. This is what a polynomial looks like. And so again, the degree is all about the biggest exponent. The biggest exponent we see is 2, and then the word for 2 says quadratic. So I'm going to go back to my paper, and I'm going to write quadratic for term. For degree, not term, excuse me, on that. Okay, so then terms, remember, it's a number, a letter, an exponent. That's a term. A number, a letter, an exponent. That's a term. A number, a letter, exponent. That's a term. I see 3 terms here. 1, 2, 3. The word we use for 3 terms is trinomial. In my paper, I'm going to write trinomial. The leading coefficient, we said, if it's in standard form, it's literally only the first number that you see. The first number we see is -4. Second example, -9y plus 5. Is that in standard form? Yes. Biggest exponent to smallest. 1, none. Okay? So degree is all about biggest exponent. Our biggest exponent is 1. When the biggest exponent is 1, we say linear. Oops, my hand's in the way. Linear. Terms, remember, number, letter, exponent, term, number, letter, exponent, term. This is a binomial. The leading coefficient, again, because this is in standard form, the first number we see, -9. Third example, is it in order? No, I see a 4, a 3, a 2, and a 1. Or I should go this way maybe and say I see 1, 3, 2, 4. Not in order from biggest exponent to smallest. So off to the side, I could say we want 3y to the 4th plus 2y cubed. Just reorganize, minus y squared plus 7y. Now it's in order. Biggest exponent is a 4. So by degree is all about biggest exponent. When it's 4, we call that quartic. Terms, number, letter, exponent. 1 term, number, letter, exponent. 2 terms, number, letter, exponent. 3 terms, number, letter, exponent. 4 terms. We have 1 term monomial, 2 term binomial, 3 term trinomial. We don't have anything for 4 terms. No vocabulary word for that, so we just write 4 terms. The leading coefficient, when it's in standard form, notice I keep coming back to my second piece of work because you don't want to give, and the most common mistake that students will make is giving me 7 for leading coefficient when the leading coefficient is 3. Fourth and final example for the day is it in standard form, 3, 1, none. Standard form, biggest exponent to smallest. The answer is yes. The degree, biggest exponent's 3. We look at our words. When the degree is 3, we say cubic. We write cubic. We look at the terms, number, letter, exponent, number, letter, exponent, number, letter, exponent. This is a trinomial. Some background music for us. And the leading coefficient in standard form, first number we see is 4. All right, that's it for today. I hope that helps. Bye, guys.